Here he is. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Dave, are you in Scotland?
Live and direct from Boy, Scotland.
Hey.
You are. So you're doing a workshop today, aren't you? I've just been reading about it. Various strategies to lawfully deal with council tax and utility bills in an honourable way. This is Dave all over, right? Dave is all about doing it legally, honourably, so they can't get you. That's the whole point. And Dave is joining us today really to talk about the mortgage fraud. And when I asked him to do it, he said, I can't do that in 15 minutes, blah, blah, blah. And then he came back and said, oh, actually, do you know what? I think I can. So please take these as like sound bites into Dave's work. And we'll always put a link to Dave's website so you can catch up more on what he's doing phenomenal stuff, very empowering stuff. So Dave, thank you again for joining us. We do really, truly appreciate it. So when people talk about mortgage fraud, like the commonly held idea is it's about misrepresentation when you're applying for a mortgage, right? That's the common idea that people have about mortgage fraud, but that's not what you're here to talk about, Dave. What is the mortgage fraud?
There are actually so many that it's there's too much to go into, to be honest. The very first thing is that they never give you actually any money at all. They don't actually give you anything. What actually happens is that you supply the money to them and then they give it back to you in the form of a loan. So you create the money, right, with your signature. Okay.
Yes.
It came about because essentially this country became bankrupt. Okay, and we became the money. Right? Our labor, our energy is the money. Right. So when you sign, to say you'll pay back, what you're saying is you're going to work, right? Use your energy and pay it back with that because there is no money. We're bankrupt.
Yeah. So people think they're paying like 11% interest, but they're really paying 111%. Does that make sense? Because none of it ever existed.
It never existed. When you sign that loan agreement, a mortgage agreement, you're creating something called a promissory note. Okay. Now, a promissory note, and this is according to the Bill of Exchange Act 1882, right? A promissory note is to be treated as cash. Okay. And this was upheld by a court case, Silliman Najjar versus, I can't remember the name now, but it's Lord Denning in 1969 basically said, we have repeatedly said in this court that a promissory note should be treated as cash. So case law supports it as well. So a promissory note is the same as the bank notes in your pocket. Somewhere it says, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of £20. But nobody ever asks £20 of what, because there is no money behind it.
Let me throw this in, right? So there's no money behind it. We're the currency, right? But you're still getting a house. So you're getting a house for that mortgage, though. Let us not forget that. So,
but it's a slave contract because you're locked in it for the whole of your life.
Because obviously mortgage is what? Death grip? Mortgage is death grip? Yeah. Okay.
It's meant to be a millstone around your neck for the whole of your working life. That's the idea of it. Okay. If you step back from all this, why is it that we're paying to live somewhere? What other animal pays somebody else to live somewhere, right? Everything in this world is free. The air's free, the water's free, the food's free, everything's free. Yes, some of it takes a bit of labor, but if you are doing your life's purpose, then you don't mind doing stuff for free.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do. We do stuff for the love of it. And there are people
sadly,
who like building things.
And sadly, you actually still never own your house, even with the mortgage.
You don't. Somebody, when I was putting the slides together for my talk, somebody just paid off their mortgage and they got a letter or an email from the Land Registry. And it was to say, okay, you own your house now. But the word they were using was proprietor. They kept calling the guy the proprietor. So when I saw that word, and when I see a word I don't sort of expect to see, I look it up in a legal dictionary, and it says a proprietor is not synonymous with owner.
Oh,
So if it's not synonymous,
that's outrageous. And of course, what we've seen over the
Excuse
last
me.
20 years is they've then been taking people's houses in order to be able to fund their social care, right? So that people are paying, like, on the one hand, their taxes, right, to fund their social care, and then their houses are being taken to fund their social care in their elder years. Outrageous.
and you know, if you don't pay your tax, your income tax, you know, they'll come and take your house away, even if you own it outright, which means you don't own it. If somebody can take away your property, that means you don't own it. And that's it. The truth is you don't actually own it, even after you paid for 30 years. But the biggest fraud, you want to tell me the biggest fraud is? The biggest fraud is it's a very subtle thing, really. When they create the money, they only create the principal. They don't create the interest. Okay. So that is a very small point that goes, you know, usually it goes over people's heads. But think about it. Let's imagine there's no money in the world, right? Zero money. Okay. And 10 people borrow £100,000 to buy houses. Okay. They spend that money into the world. Now there's £1 million in the world, okay? But the thing is, each one of those 10 people owe 300,000 back with interest. So that means for them to pay their mortgages off, there needs to be 3 million in the world, but there's only 1 million, which means only 3 of that 10 is going to be able to pay their mortgages off. The only way the other 7 get to pay their mortgages off is if the bank loans another 20 people £100,000 each. So that the original, that 7 can pay off their mortgages, but now the 20 haven't got enough money to pay. So the bank has to loan 60 people so that 20 can pay off, and so on and so on.
A pyramid scheme.
It does sound like a pyramid scheme. That's exactly what it sounds like. Okay. Luckerbugs in our comments says you can put the property in a trust the same way they do it. What does that mean? Do you know about that?
Well,
so trust funds is to protect your. Sorry, I'll let you jump on there, Dave.
It's to say that okay, you don't, you know, you personally don't own the house. The house belongs to the trust. So you know, if anything that comes against you, well, you don't own the house. You're just a trustee.
I see. Right.
But I'm not sure how that works if you know, you don't have full title ownership of it.
Right.
Yes.
James is comparing it to a vehicle document with DVLA. Just means you are the keeper, not the owner. That's a good parallel, I feel.
Well, that's the thing, you know, already we own nothing, and we're happy.
Yes.
Well,
exactly.
that's what Raycan is reminding us in the comments. You will own nothing and be happy. It is a huge con, isn't it? It's the Great Reset.
Right, but here, you know, about the not creating the interest part. Here's the thing that they can do with this power, right? They've got. They can actually create a depression whenever they want, simply by restricting the number of loans. Yeah, as soon as they restrict the number of loans, the defaults start to catch up because there's no new money coming in to pay off the previous loans. So all they have to do is say, you know what, well, we've got a plausible reason why we're not making loans anymore. But you know, all they have to do is stop making loans, and then there's a depression, and nobody knows that it's because of the banks not making loans anymore. So so that's what's happening now.
Is the simple thing here just not to have a mortgage? What's the solution?
There isn't really a solution if you want to stay in this system, because you know, in this system you've got to pay for a house, whether you're renting or you know, got a mortgage. If you're renting, it's still the same problem, because the one who you're renting from has got a mortgage, so their payments are going up like crazy. So eventually that's going to go down to the renters, and everyone's in the same boat. Yeah, the the solution to this is people realizing that they're not sort of defaulting because, you know, of their financial mismanagement, or they're not working hard enough or anything. It's a plan. It's a very insidious plan to make sure that everyone is enslaved,
Right.
By debt. So you're going to lose your house. You know, if nothing happens, you're going to lose your house, and people are going to think, well, it's because I'm not good enough, and my job wasn't good enough, and all that.
Right.
No,
Right.
it was designed that way.
Now, I've spoke to somebody online yesterday, and I need to check this out myself, but obviously I'm doing a lot at the minute, and I'm trying to work my way through AI and what uses it can have for us to use against them in a way. And someone has created an AI language model trained on law that you can talk to about your legal and lawful issues and create defenses with it. So it's very good for helping people stay informed and create documents of all sorts. And I need to check that it's all okay before I promote the actual thing, but it tells you everything you need to know about trust laws. It tells you all about the context of within the law. And this is like an AI that someone has built that we can use to learn around the way that they kind of spun this web around us. Because a lot of it is through language as well, isn't it?
How long before it's no longer people anymore, it's AIs against AIs?
Right.
Well, sadly, yes, I agree.
I mean, Sasha says the system is designed to fail. Is it designed to fail? That's shocking.
Absolutely.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we can see how the game is run when you play the game of Monopoly. Yeah.
Right.
The only reason we don't see how it works is because we always end the game too soon. Right?
Oh, gosh, good point.
We end the game when there's one person left, right? But what happens if that one person carries on playing, right? Eventually, they're going to lose all their money. So who's the real winner of that game?
The banks.
The banks.
Yeah.
Right? The game is rigged, so the bank always wins, right? But as I said, we finish it too early to see it.
It's like gambling.
The world is rigged, so the bank always wins. Wow. That's it. This is the world we live in.
Wow,
right? And people
such
just
a
got to
profound
realize
statement.
that.
Yes, it is. But through people like you, they will realize it sooner rather than later, because, going back to that comment that you made earlier, and that is, basically you're doing something you love, right? You live off grid. I mean, you literally are sort of walking the talk. You're living the lifestyle that many people aspire to. How hard was it?
It was hard to actually do it, to actually go, okay, I'm going to do it, because there's this feeling that there's no way you can live outside the system. How are you going to live without money? How are you going to, what are you going to do? So it's really hard to start. And for the first 6 months or so, I was like, what am I doing? Is what I'm doing worthwhile? But one thing happened to me. I was in Turkey, and every day I'd go for a walk, and I'd walk past this man who was sitting in this wooden box, right, selling bread. And it's really hot in Turkey, so he's sitting in this hot box basically every day. And I realized that he found value in what he was doing, that he was selling bread and making money for his family. So I realized that whatever it is I want to do, if I find there's some value in it, then it's valuable. So, we're conditioned to believe that we find our value in the money we make, in the status we get in the system. Yeah, that's utterly false.
That's why capitalism's a cult.
Right. Leatherbug says, if we want to live in communities and larger societies, we need a contributory system, but one free of politics. I mean, politics is the bane of our life. They're all hand in hand together, right?
True, but I don't agree with what's just said. I have this idea called 1,000-Man Island. Yeah. If us three and the nearest 997 people ended up on a desert island, okay, what would naturally happen is that we would find what it is we like doing and we're good at,
Mhm.
and we contribute that to the island. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be about how much you're going to pay me for it. It's because we're all in the same boat. So
Yeah.
we're all trying to help each other to survive. So let's say I'm really good at fishing, right? If I go out and I catch 10 fish, well, I only need one, right? I'm just saying, okay, there's 9 fish there if anybody wants them.
Mhm.
Now, I wouldn't care if it was, you know, my friends around me who took the fish, or it was somebody from the other side of the island I didn't know came and took a fish, because I know that that person, whatever he's doing, is contributing to all of us. You know?
Yeah.
I think that is what Luggerbug said, though, isn't it? A contributory system. I keep pronouncing that wrong. Yeah, go on.
But it's not this hard and fast thing.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yes, yeah, and that's what we've been. That's the way we've been raised, isn't it? This whole idea, you know, bricks and mortar, rules and regs, all of this stuff. But you're saying it needs to be much more fluid than that. So therefore, because I can talk and I can write, I can contribute that to our system in order to be able to, for the betterment of everybody, regardless of whether I know you or not. That's kind of what you're saying, right?
Well, yeah, and it doesn't have to be rules as such. The rules come from here.
Yeah.
We know what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
So the only ones who don't thrive in that kind of system are the psychopaths.
People who can't work in a team.
So,
yes.
Right, because they're not working for everyone else. They want to work for themselves only.
Yes.
In this society, those people are promoted. Those people end up at the top of the system.
That's right. They're the CEOs.
The good people, the good people are always at the bottom, right? If we had a system like Thousand Man Island, well, the good people will be at the top, and it's the wicked people at the bottom, or not part of the system altogether. They're out on their own. They have to fend for themselves. Yeah.
I personally, I don't know if this is possible, but I would rather the House of Commons be run like a court of law, where 12 people are picked, like a jury service. 12 people are picked, and I would rather Carol, the primary school teacher, and Dave, the bin man, make executive decisions in the House of Parliament for me, rather than Boris Johnson and Matt Hancock.
For sure.
Why would you want somebody you don't know making decisions for you?
Yeah, I hear that too.
More than that, rather than go to this centralized model, you don't need the centralizing. You don't need central government, right? Within your own community, if there's a problem, 12 people from your community get together and decide who's right in a dispute.
Yeah, much better. We have to let you go, allegedly, Dave, which is always such a pain in the butt. But you did manage
already.
Yeah, but you did manage to say an awful lot in those 15 minutes, 17 minutes, rather, to be perfect. Listen, we really appreciate you. Where are you in Scotland?
I'm in Dundee.
Dundee, beautiful Dundee. Listen, have a terrific workshop today. We do genuinely appreciate you. We'll see you back very soon on another topic. Everybody, allegedly, Dave.
Okay.
Take good care of yourself.
Thank you so
Lovely
much.
to see you. Brilliant.